It was supposed to be another quiet scan of a faraway cluster routine, even dull, like listening for whispers in a canyon of silence. But what astronomers saw shattered everything. A structure so large, so faint, and so impossibly ancient appeared in the data stretching over 20 million light-years wide. Not a galaxy, not a supercluster, a halo, a ghostly, glowing envelope of energy and matter encircling space itself like a cosmic crown. 4 days, researchers refused to believe it. Instruments were rechecked, algorithms were but the signal didn't disappear. In fact, the deeper they looked, the more real it became. And with it came a terrifying realization. This halo shouldn't exist. To even glimpse it required combining data from some of the most sensitive X-ray and radio telescopes on Earth and in orbit. It began with a Rippleland unexplained distortion in the energy patterns around the Abell 2744 galaxy cluster, a region sometimes called Pandora's cluster because of its chaotic, overlapping structures. It was already a cosmic mystery box. But then came the discovery. A giant spherical formation, not made of stars, not made of galaxies, but something else. Something that held the entire region in its invisible grasp. A halo, faintly glowing in X-ray emissions, too vast to be a remnant of any single galaxy, too smooth to be a leftover shockwave, and too perfect to be an accident. This wasn't a lensing artifact or a computer glitch. It was confirmed by multiple observatories. Chandra, XMM Newton, LOFAR, and even the Hubble telescope provided indirect signatures. 20 million light-years. That's roughly 200 Milky Ways lined up side by side. And yet, it moved as one ethereal sphere of energy enclosing space, as if space itself had grown a membrane. And that's when things got strange. The temperature of the halo was not constant. At its core, it burned with high-energy X-rays, hot enough to strip electrons from atoms, but toward the edges, it cooled drastically, suggesting movement, pressure, structure. This was no fading relic. It was alive. Theories exploded like supernova across the scientific world. Some called it a plasma bubble left over from ancient galactic collisions, fueled by the violent births of black holes, echoing across time. Others proposed it was a new form of dark matter structure, a skeleton around which visible matter clings. But there was a more chilling theory, one that shook the astrophysics community to its core. What if the halo wasn't formed by what we can see but by what we can see? What if it is the boundary of an ancient interaction, where two universes once brushed against each other? If that sounds insane, you're not alone. But the math, bizarrely, fits. Some cosmologists have long speculated that if our universe is part of a larger multiverse, then at some point in the distant past, our cosmic bubble might have grazed another universe. That event would leave behind a shock imprint, an invisible scar, in the form of a massive energy shell. Until now, no one had found anything close to that. But this new structure, perfectly spherical, centered around no specific mass, and yet still exerting subtle gravitational influence but if that's true, then this isn't just a halo. It's a message, a boundary, a fossilized wave from a time before our universe even cooled. And here's the terrifying part: if this halo marks an inter-universal collision, then its size implies that the impact zone stretches across billions of light-years, which means the event wasn't small or local, it was foundational. And we're living inside its echo. When we look at the night sky, we see stars, galaxies, and gas clouds. But beyond the bright dots is something more subtle, a cosmic web of filaments and voids, forming a structure that spans the entire universe. Most of that is invisible to human eyes. It's not just darkness, it's dark matter, dark energy, and now, possibly, dark halos. What scientists found surrounding Abell 2744 may be the first of many. If this structure exists, here in one of the most active and chaotic clusters, how many more are hidden in the calm, quiet corners of the cosmos? The discovery also reopens an old question. What is gravity holding onto? Galaxies rotate too fast for the visible matter to keep them from flying apart. That's why we believe dark matter exists. It's the invisible glue. But this halo throws a wrench into everything, because it's not behaving like dark matter. It doesn't clump. It doesn't bend light in ways we expect. It radiates energy without collapsing. It's diffuse, yet defined. It's as if the universe is trying to contain something bigger than itself. And then there's the weird electromagnetic behavior. At radio frequencies, the outer edge of the halo shows signs of synchrotron radiation, a telltale signature of high-speed electrons spiraling through magnetic fields. That shouldn't happen on this scale. The amount of energy required to sustain that level of motion over 20 million light-years is staggering. It would require power outputs equivalent to billions of supernova occurring at once, and yet there's no visible engine, no active galactic nucleus, no recent merger, just silence, like a city glowing in the distance, but with no sound, no movement, and no explanation. Some researchers have compared it to a fossilized sound wave, an ancient pressure ripple from the early universe. frozen in space by time and distance. But the precision of its boundary is what disturbs them. This isn't noise, this isn't randomness. It's structured, geometrically precise. And in nature, geometry usually means design. Not by aliens, perhaps, but by the forces of physics, writ large. Others have proposed an even wilder theory that this halo represents the remnants of a failed cosmic inflation bubble. In the fractions of a second, after the Big Bang, space expanded exponentially, forming bubbles of reality. Most ours didn't. But maybe this halo is the scar of one that began to grow and then stopped, overlapping with our own bubble of space-time, just long enough to leave a fingerprint, a structure that wasn't supposed to be but somehow is. And that fingerprint isn't static. Over the course of months, researchers noticed subtle changes in the shape and density of the halo. At first, they thought it was an error, but the pattern held. Something inside the halo is moving, or growing. It's as if this boundary, once frozen in time, is now stirring, and that's when the mood shifted. From curiosity to caution, because a structure that large, changing, even slightly, implies forces at work far beyond our understanding. And worse, those forces are active now. Could it be that this halo is waking up, or is it responding to something we've done? Some have speculated that gravitational waves from massive black hole mergers now being detected regularly could be disturbing ancient cosmic structures. Others fear that our instruments, powerful as they are, may be altering delicate balances by injecting energy into observation zones. Either way, something is happening in that part of space, and it's happening fast. At this moment, satellites across the globe are trained on Abell 2744, a campaign of observation not seen since the discovery of gravitational waves is underway. And while the data keeps pouring in, the theories grow stranger. Some think the halo might be a containment zone of bubble-trapping exotic particles that can exist in our space. Others believe it's an Assyria place, where the seeds of a future universe are forming. And a few whisper of the unspeakable, that it's a doorway, a rift, a thinning, the outer edge of everything we know. Of course, the official language is more reserved. A large-scale energy structure of unknown origin. But behind the closed doors of universities and observatories, the excitement is palpable, and so is the fear. Because if we've found one of these halos, and they are scars of universal collisions or fractures, then it means our universe isn't a sealed container. It's porous, vulnerable, and that brings up a terrifying question. Could another impact happen again? If the multiverse exists, and cosmic bubbles do collide, then we may not be alone in space. We may not even be safe. This halo may be the first whisper of a distant shout, the ripple of a cosmic tide turning 20 million light-years across. That's not a structure. That's a signature. A warning left in silence. And the silence, for now, is all we have. In Part 2, we'll dig deeper into what this halo might mean for the future of cosmology, how it challenges our understanding of dark energy, and whether it's possible we've already passed through one before without knowing. But for now, as the world's most powerful telescopes stare into the glowing edge of this ancient veil, one truth becomes clear. The universe just got a whole lot bigger, and a lot more mysterious. Like and subscribe to Beyond Stars for the next part of this journey, where the edge of science meets the beginning of everything. The deeper scientists look into the halo, the less it behaves like anything known in cosmic physics. The initial shock of its size, 20 million light-years wide, has given way to a kind of collective obsession. Astronomers are no longer asking if it's real, they're now asking what it wants. Because this isn't just a structure, it's an enigma woven into the fabric of space. With every scan, the halo reveals new layers. Spectral imaging shows concentric energy rings within the vast shell, like ripples frozen mid. The more we study it, the more it feels like the aftershock of a universe-sized event we don't yet have words for. And it's still unfolding. On a crisp morning in Chile, the ALMA Radio Observatory picked up a series of low-frequency signals emerging from within the halo's inner zone, timed almost like a heartbeat. The signals weren't pulses in the traditional sense. They weren't fast radio bursts or gravitational waves. They were something in between. Not random, not noise, structured, but too faint and too slow to be from any known source. It was as if space itself was breathing, expanding and contracting across eons, leaving behind a trail of energy patterns that only now, with our most sensitive instruments, are coming into focus. The implications shook the theory labs. If the halo has a rhythm, it suggests motion. If it has motion, it suggests interaction. But with what? There's no galaxy at the center of the halo, no black hole, no quasars, no gravitational anchor. It's not orbiting, it's not collapsing, it simply exists, suspended, balanced in a way that defies gravity's insistence on pulling everything into chaos. And that balance is what's terrifying, because it implies control, not artificial design, necessarily, but control at a scale we've never witnessed. As if nature herself wrote a law into that space and forgot to tell us about it. Then came the data from Euclid. ESA's newest dark energy probe was designed to study the expansion of the universe. Instead, it may have stumbled onto the edge of another one. The halo, it turns out, slightly bends the light of distant galaxies behind it, not like a gravitational lens, but in a diffuse, rippling way. The bending isn't sharp, it's smeared as if space is thinner across its surface. Some scientists now believe the halo represents a boundary zone where the properties of the universe subtly change. A cosmic meniscus. Inside, physics acts one way. Outside, another. A soft edge, but an edge nonetheless. And if that's true, then we've seen the edge of something else before, we just didn't recognize it. Cosmologists are revisiting anomalies in deep field data. Strange cold spots in the cosmic microwave background, warped redshifts in galaxy surveyed, and now the sun arc of light, slightly curved, slightly dimmed, hidden near the halo's periphery. It all suggests one chilling possibility. This isn't the only halo, it's just the first we noticed. The universe might be littered with them. Each one, a scar, a seam, a bruise left behind by ancient interactions. The quiet places in the cosmos aren't empty, they're stitched together. The question now is what comes next? What if these halos grow? What if they merge? Is there a tipping point where these ancient scars reopen? Some theorists fear that the halo is decaying, that its perfect geometry is slowly unraveling. Over the past 6 months, high-resolution scans have shown not fast, not dramatically, but it's changing. And anything that size, changing even slightly, carries with it the potential to reshape surrounding space. The galaxy's nearby part of the Abell 2744 cluster already shows signs of gravitational tension. Their trajectories are off. Something is tugging at them. And here's where the story darkens. In 2017, the Event Horizon Telescope captured the first image of a black hole. It was a cosmic milestone, but buried in the data were faint, persistent distortions near the edge of the black hole's shadow. At the time, they were dismissed as noise. But now, with the halo discovery, scientists are reanalyzing that data. What if those distortions were interference? What if the black hole was interacting, not with our universe, but with a boundary like the halo, something lurking just beyond spacetime's veil? Could black holes be gateways, not to nothingness, but to these giant, invisible membranes that connect or protect entire domains of space? If so, then the rules of physics may be more like guidelines, fragile, context-dependent, and subject to sudden collapse. And we're now watching one of those contexts bend. The halo could be the first real evidence of a phase change in the universe, a point where matter, energy, and even the flow of time operate on a new set of laws. And if we're near it, if it's expanding, then we may be approaching an event horizon not around a black hole but around reality itself. And it doesn't stop there. New gravitational wave detectors, designed to pick up low-frequency signals, are starting to sense a strange hum, persistent, planet-sized vibration that echoes across billions of kilometers. The signal peaks every time Earth aligns with the halo in a particular orbital configuration. Possibly. But the probability is shrinking with every pass, and with it grows a new, unnerving hypothesis. The halo isn't just old, it's active, it's sending something. Not a message, perhaps, but a wave. And that wave is reaching us. Not to alarm, not to warn, but simply because that's what it does. Like the light from a star that died a billion years ago, still touching your skin. But what if that wave is still building? What if we're only catching the leading edge of something deeper, slower, more powerful than any supernova, any black hole, any gamma-ray burst ever recorded? The scariest thing isn't the halo itself. It's what it implies, that the universe isn't stable, that it's full of seams and layers, and that we've just stumbled upon one we can't yet predict or control. Our maps of the cosmos are suddenly incomplete. Our models, beautiful as they are, have missed something fundamental, and the halo is the shadow of that truth. And yet, in all this uncertainty, there is wonder. Because if the halo is a window to something beyond, then we are closer to the edge than we ever dreamed. Closer to the origin of space, closer to the threshold of something vast and unfinished. Maybe this is what every civilization discovers at the limits of its understanding, a silent shape, glowing across the stars, hinting at more. Already, proposals are pouring in. An international consortium wants to launch a new array of satellites to map the halo's boundaries in unprecedented detail. Others are calling for deep penetrating radio arrays on the far side of the moon, where Earth's noise won't interfere. The race is in not to conquer, but to comprehend, to learn what lies beneath the mask of our universe. Because make no mistake, this halo isn't a mistake. It's a structure, a system, possibly a mechanism. Whether it guards something, contains something, or leads somewhere, we don't yet know. But it's there, and it's real. A glowing veil stretched across space, humming with the memory of something older than galaxies. A signature of change, a signal of beginnings, or ends, and just maybe, in the quiet between pulses, in the stillness of those ancient echoes, We hear the first notes of a deeper music, one that tells us we were never alone in the dark. Thank you for watching Beyond Stars. Like and subscribe if you believe the universe still has secrets at us waiting for us to find. Because the cosmos just whispered one more truth into our ears, and it was 20 million light years wide.